This incident was kept quiet for a full 2 weeks. But can anything really be kept secret for long when smartphones, cameras, and the internet are all around? Of course, the accident involving the American F-35 fighter jet was first captured on video and then made its way online. According to some estimates, the development of the fighter jet cost the Pentagon nearly $2 trillion, with each aircraft costing over $100 million. A crew member of the aircraft carrier captured the incident on their mobile phone camera. The footage shows the F-35 making a turn and coming in for landing. However, the pilot drops the speed too quickly, not getting close enough to the deck. The fighter's engine couldn't gain the necessary thrust during the approach for a second pass, causing the plane to crash into the water. It has been revealed who was at the controls of the F-35C, a fifth-generation U.S. Navy fighter jet worth $100 million, which crashed into the South China Sea while attempting to land on the deck of the aircraft carrier Vinson. It was the first female F-35 fighter pilot. In 2015, Maau became the world's first and only female F-35 pilot after 16 years of flying F-15E Strike Eagles. According to sources, the ill-fated flight on January 24th, which ended in a crash, was her first takeoff from the deck of an aircraft carrier. The fact that the fighter was piloted by a woman was disclosed to the media by a member of the American aircraft carrier Vinson's crew, who noted that the woman had completed a full training course and successfully finished a program for taking off and landing on the deck. However, that flight turned out to be her first from the deck of a real warship. Moments before the fiasco, Maau tries to level the fighter relative to the deck but fails completely. We also report that aircraft of this type have experienced problems several times before. In 2018, one such state-of-the-art, multi-purpose fifth-generation F-35B from the U.S. Marine Corps suffered its first-ever crash in South Carolina. The plane crashed on approach to the U.S. Marine Corps base in Beaufort. The Beaufort County Sheriff's Office confirmed that a military aircraft had crashed, but did not specify the type of aircraft involved.
The pilot of the military aircraft safely ejected,
the office reported. The F-35 is a multi-purpose fighter designed with stealth technology to reduce radar visibility. It is often called the most expensive weapon system in human history. In addition to the United States, 8 countries participated in the development of the project: Australia, the United Kingdom, Denmark, Italy, Canada, the Netherlands, Norway, and Turkey. The F-35 is produced in 3 variants: F-35A, F-35B, and F-35C. According to reports, this is the first crash involving the latest F-35B. It was previously reported that the U.S. Air Force used this fighter for the first time to strike an enemy in Afghanistan. The combat sortie took place on September 27th, and the Pentagon called it successful. It was found that when refueling in field conditions, the F-35 Lightning II fighters require additional protection against lightning strikes. When struck by lightning, the aircraft's onboard systems can suffer serious damage. Modern aircraft, with airframes made of metal alloys, are resistant to lightning strikes because their fuselage acts as a kind of Faraday cage. Some aircraft are additionally equipped with electrostatic discharge devices, whose main purpose is to remove static electricity from the airframe during flight and discharge it into the atmosphere. When struck by lightning, these devices help the charge flow off the airframe. The F-35 fighter's airframe is largely made of composite materials, the properties of which are not sufficient to provide passive protection against lightning. For this reason, in early August of this year, the U.S. Marine Corps ordered a batch of 14 lightning rods to be installed at field airfields near F-35B fighters with vertical takeoff and landing capabilities. These portable lightning rods, designated as PLP-38 MOD, can withstand wind speeds of up to 54 meters per second without the need for additional anchoring. The F-35 fighter was developed as part of one of the most expensive defense programs in the world and has been criticized for both its high cost and its combat effectiveness. The F-35 fighter development program is planned to run until 2070, with its total cost estimated at $1.5 trillion. Some experts argue that the F-35 lacks maneuverability, making it unable to compete in combat with F-16 fighters. There have also been reports of issues with visibility from the pilot's cockpit. Analysts noted that the aircraft's creators focused on stealth technology, which somewhat reduced the fighter's combat effectiveness. China's first group of 5 female pilots flying J-11B fighters recently completed their first independent training successfully, proving that women are as capable as male pilots in handling heavy fighters that require significant physical effort.
We have proven that female pilots can do the same as men. We can handle heavy combat fighters. Today we can fly the J-11B, in the future the J-20. Our journey is a sea of stars,
said Yan Zhongyue, one of the pilots at the Xi'an Flight Academy of the People's Liberation Army Air Force, PLAF. The average age of the 5 participating female pilots was 23 years old. After their first flight on the J-11B, they will undergo training for group flights. The 5 pilots underwent high-load and high-intensity flight training on the J-11B aircraft, with training intensity equal to that of men. This was a step towards becoming qualified third-generation fighter pilots. During their training, the pilots had to accurately perform the simulation of a single engine and landing procedures in supersonic high-altitude conditions, which seriously tested their situational awareness, technical and tactical capabilities. The first solo flight also included complex maneuvers such as hovering at maximum angular velocity.
This tests our ability to handle the aircraft's limit characteristics and precisely control it, giving us a solid foundation for achieving tactical intent in later air combat,
said Wang Chen, another female pilot.
It's a great honor for us to be part of the first group of female pilots flying J-11B fighters, but it has also been a test for us. Although we are physically weaker than men, flying these planes isn't about arm wrestling. Decision-making and aircraft control are important. With greater endurance and tolerance, women will be better adapted to long-duration battles,
Yan noted. Women apparently have advantages in operating weapons and complex equipment due to their cautious, meticulous, and sensitive characteristics, which also align with future wars where precise manipulation of weapon platforms will be one of the main directions. Training female fighter pilots is an important measure to improve the quality of the Air Force's personnel reserve. The Air Force has gradually introduced J-10 and J-11B fighters, which have been equipped with combat units in the academy. This move is aimed at shortening the training cycles of third-generation fighter pilots. In recent years, women have been increasingly allowed to pilot aircraft, but the gap is still significant. According to research, 4.4% of pilots in the U.S. are women. Over the past decade, the proportion of women controlling aircraft has increased from 3.7%. In the UK, 4.3% of pilots are young ladies. 10 years ago, only 3.4% of women were allowed to fly planes. In 2018, United Airlines employed more than 900 female pilots. Well-known low-cost carrier Delta was behind by 200 people. Lufthansa, Indigo, SkyWest, and Southwest had between 300 and 400 female pilots. Other major airlines, including British Airways, Air Canada, Air India, KLM, and Cathay Pacific, also employ women. But their numbers are not as large. Last year, the airline Pobeda officially announced flights with crews consisting only of women. The first flight took place on the Istanbul-Moscow route. This caused public resonance. Many passengers still do not want to fly with women. In the aviation industry, most women work as flight attendants, dispatchers, support staff, and administrators at counters. During the heyday of civil aviation, only women were hired as flight attendants. It was believed that they helped passengers feel calm and attracted customers to return to the plane for a second time. This stereotype became established during the golden age of aviation and continues to this day, with many still believing that being a flight attendant is solely a female profession. However, gender boundaries have begun to blur, with men starting to work as flight attendants and women being allowed to pilot aircraft. Another stereotype is that men are more attentive and capable of thinking clearly in critical situations. Additionally, women are considered to be less stress-resistant and prone to panic. It's difficult to say how accurate this is, as comprehensive studies in this field have not been conducted. However, the stereotype remains widespread, even today. During the early days of automobiles, it was believed that only men could drive cars, and a woman behind the wheel was considered a marvel. Nowadays, a female race car driver is not surprising to anyone. The third reason lies in labor legislation. Women are generally less involved in hazardous jobs. Pilots' health is affected by various factors, from constant pressure fluctuations to changing time zones, and they even retire earlier. Currently, there is a problem in the civil aviation sector, a severe shortage of competent personnel. Airlines and international organizations are doing everything possible to recruit more pilots and address the issue. Flight academies and various public organizations are joining forces to attract women to aviation. Thank you for watching and see you soon.